Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and good morning everyone. Happy Sunday. So apa khabar everyone? Okay ke tidak?
Good morning, Dokter.
Okay,
Okay,
yes.
Dokter.
Okay, thank you. Boleh, baru saya dengar ada suara orang. Kalau tak saya rasa saya cakap dengan robot je. Okay, nice to see you all again, alright. So, I know that hari ni apa yang kita akan buat, so we are going to discuss on chapter on correlation. So, and then also simple regression. So that for this week, and also next week we are going to finish all the syllabus, okay? So maksudnya pada hari Ahad next week we are trying to do the multiple regression topic. Okay, and then so I'm going to see you guys on separate. It depends, kalau kita ada class, hopefully if we can get a classroom for next week, so we can meet. All of us can meet at the same time. So otherwise, I'm going to divide. I'm going to divide the session into section 2 and section 1 and section 2 according to the timetable. But for next week, what I would like to do is actually I'm going to do 2 hours on Sunday, and if we can do on Wednesday for 2 hours also, right? So that's the reason I would like to make sure and then to ask to whether you are free or not for 2 hours either on Wednesday or Thursday, right? So and then I can find a classroom for all of us. Okay, so that's the information that I would like to share with you this morning. But let's do, okay, our chapter on correlation, which is chapter 11, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, chapter 11 on page 133. Okay, correlation. Okay, the clue word here is actually, okay, the base word for this one is flow and relation. So the purpose is for the correlation is to determine whether exists relationship between two variables, right? So that's what it meant by correlation. So the word co here usually it involves it involves more than two subject, two people, two parties and so on. So for example, when I say cooperation, okay, co-curriculum, so it means that we must have more than one. All right. So in our case, for the correlation, we must have more than one variable, and we would like to find the relationship between these two variables. Okay. So I cannot say that, I have relationship with myself. So because only one person, usually the relationship, it will involve another party. All right. So the same thing with correlation. And this correlation is actually to find the relationship between quantity versus quantity variable relationship. So in before we already learned for the chi-square, okay, in our previous section, okay. So previous session, we already learned chi-square test, and the purpose is to find the relationship or association between quali versus quali, right? So what does it mean by quantity versus quantity? Okay, quantity is something that you can count. Whenever you ask people, they will give you responses in terms of numbers, in numeric form. Okay, so for example, I would like to find the relationship between age and salary. Okay, or maybe another word is like IQ and test score. So both of them, each is quantitative. Salary is also quantitative. IQ score, okay, IQ test score in quantitative, and then let's say test score. So for example, stats test score. So also quantitative. Then if we want to find the relationship between these two quantitative variables, we need to use correlation. Okay, so in our data analysis, I already told you before that the most important, this is what we call it as inferential statistics. Okay, so when I say inferential statistics, it means that in our study, in our research, okay, we use a sample to represent the whole population. So that's what we call it as inferential statistics. So in our study, we must have sample, right? So usually, in this case, we can check or we can study in terms of the purpose of our study is to compare means or to find relationship. So when I say compare means, we can use either t-test or ANOVA, right? So remember, t-test, when you have two means, or two groups, and this one, ANOVA, when we have more than two groups or more than two means, right? And then for the relationship, we have two, right? So the first one that we already learned is chi-square test, okay? Chi-square. So this one is quali versus quali. And today we are going to learn correlation and also regression. So this one is for quanti versus quanti, right? So this is what so far we have learned in this class. So you already learned descriptive statistics. So we have one more here. Actually, descriptive statistic. Remember, I asked you to write all this in the cover page, the very last page of your book, right? Descriptive statistics. Okay. And then we also have compare means, and now we are going to finish the chapters of for this class, okay, for this subject with with relationship. Okay. Okay, next one. Okay, so the relationship between two variables can be determined by two ways, right? So the first one, we need to calculate the correlation coefficient. So this one we represent by letter R. Okay, R stands for relationship. Okay, or sometimes people use row. Yeah, this one is row. In Greek letter means R. Same thing, row. Okay, or we can use regression analysis. So there are two ways of studying or determining, the relationship between two variables. One, by calculate the correlation coefficient. The second one, by using regression analysis. So we are going to do this one today, right? And this one, some part of it today and next week. Okay, so a correlation is a statistical method used to measure and describe the relationship between two variables. Okay, a relationship exists when changes in one variable tend to be accompanied by consistent and predictable changes in the other variable. So let's say I have variable X and I have variable Y. So I would like to see the relationship between these two, for example. Okay, so X, Y, right? So therefore, what I can do, okay, the relationship that might exist is like this. If Y increases, if X increases, Y also increases. Okay. If X decreases, maybe, okay, Y also decreases, or the other way around. Okay. So this is what it says when changes in one variable tend to be accompanied by changes in the other variable. So it can be, let's say, one increases, the other one increases can also happen, or one increases, the other one decreases, and so on, right? And then in order to identify the relationship, okay, we can use either the first method is to use scatter plot, the other one is to use the value of coefficient or of correlation, which is R or rho. Okay. Okay, people, if you have any question, please ask me. Don't just keep quiet, right? Okay, what is scatter plot? Scatter means everywhere. Okay, so for example, I have something like this. We have Y here, and then X axis here, and here will be 0. So scatter plot is all the points where you can see actually the coordinate for X and Y, right? So it can be anywhere. So it depends on your data. When I say scatter, so you can only see all the dots in the graph. Okay, there is no line, there is no other indication, no other than dots. Okay, sorry, you all say baru je habis meeting sebenarnya. So I talk and talk and talk non-stop, and non-stop. Sampai sakit tekak. Right, so this is what we call it as scatter plot. So when in your question paper later, in your final exam, so for example, you have a question, please plot your scatter plot. So it means that you only can plot all the dots without any line except the axis, X and Y. Okay, so you can see this one, okay, on page 135, right? 135 first. That's what we call it as scatter plot. Okay, so let's draw. There are a few types of relationship. Okay, So this one on page 135. So the first one, when we have something like this, okay, this one is y, and then this one x, okay, y, x. Okay, the first one, okay, let me draw this one first. Okay, I would like you to draw all these 6 diagrams, okay, 6 graph on page 135. Okay, so once you're done, let me know. Okay, thank you, Iman, Anong, Tika. All right, thank you so much. Yes, Nabila, thank you. Okay, thank you, Yana. Oh, kita ada dua. Satu Ainur Liana. Lagi satu kita ada Alifa Iliana. Oh, ada dua Yana. Right? Okay. So let's go back to, I would like to explain a little bit more on the scatter plot. Okay, as I said before, okay, scatter plot is used to identify the relationship. Okay, so when how can we identify relationship in the scatter plot? When, okay, there's a slope. Okay, so slope maksudnya kecerunan. So for example, if we have something like this, okay, or something like this, all right, for example, there is a slope. Okay, so we can actually draw a triangle. So then it means there is a relationship. Teruknya saya ini. Yeah. Okay, when there's a slope, there's a relationship. If there is no slope, there is no relationship. Okay. So, and then the coefficient of correlation. So I will explain it later after we done with scatter plot. Okay, so that's what it means by scatter plot, to identify the relationship. So we need to look at the slope. Okay. Okay, so let's look at the first relationship. So we have, let's say, this one A, B, okay, C, D, E, and also F, right? Okay, so if you look at, all right, if you look at page 134, okay, so it says that the correlation, for correlation analysis, usually what we need to know from the scatter plot is actually the form and also the direction. Okay, So what does it mean by the form? Usually we call it as linear, a straight line, right? And the direction can be either positive or negative, right? So that's what it means by direction. So for the first one, so let's have a look. Do you think that in A, X and Y have a relationship or not? Okay, do X and Y have a relationship or not in A, in graph A? What do you think? Anyone? Johannes. Are you here?
Doctor, are you calling me?
Yes.
Yeah.
So now, oh, your Nisa. Johannes. I'm so sorry. No wonder lah. You were confused. Nama you ke bukan? Okay, but it's you. Okay?
Okay,
Definitely it's you.
doctor.
All right. So I'm asking,
Mm-hmm.
do X and Y have a relationship or not in graph A?
X and Y relationship or not?
Okay. Do they have a relationship or not? Remember, I told you before, in order to identify relationship in scatter plot, we need to look at the slope, right?
Mm-mm.
What do you think?
I mean, in my eyes, I see a little bit of slope, but I'm not sure about it. It's
Okay.
a little bit unconnected on the dots. It's
Okay.
not as the same like B and C. Yeah.
Okay, I'm asking only A.
I would say
Yes
no.
or no?
No, I would say no.
No. Okay. People, by the way, when you draw your scatter plot, I just remember one thing. Don't ever connect all the dots with your creativity. Okay? This is not a drawing class, okay? So please don't connect the dots. So just leave the dots alone. Just like whatever they are presenting the coordinates for X and Y, okay? Don't connect them, right? So in our case, just now, right? So as I said, we need to look at the slope. Okay, just imagine if we do a straight line, okay, to represent all the dots here. So the straight line can be still like this. Do you agree? Because it can be, yes, Atika, any question? Oh, tersalah tekan ya, Tika. Okay, okay. All right. So just imagine we want to draw a line where can represent all the dots to be fair to all the dots in A, okay, in graph A. So then we can see actually this straight line, it can create a slope. Okay, it can form a slope because of it's not horizontal, right? So that's the reason. So we call this one, yes, it has relationship, and we need to look at the direction. So this one, in our case, when we learn mathematics before, so if we have something like this, is the slope will be positive or negative? What do you think? Is it positive or negative? So if the direction is like this, so is it positive or negative, the slope? Positive. Okay, yeah, it is positive. So we can say that the relationship is positive. So when I see the relationship positive, it means that when X increases, Y also will increase. Okay, that's what it means by positive. Okay, how about the B, graph B? What do you think? Jingchen.
Yes, doctor.
Okay. So what do you think about B? Is there any relationship between X and Y?
Yes.
Yes, definitely. You can see that, right? So you just put, yeah, there is a relationship. Right. But is it positive or negative? What do you think?
Negative.
Negative, okay? Because when you look at the slope, just draw a straight line, for example. So it move, like sloping down. So this one is negative relationship. So what does it mean by negative relationship? If x increases, y will decreases. If x decreases, y will increases. So it will be opposite. Okay? So that's what it means by negative. So in our case here, our x is when our y is increases, our x is decreases. So this one. Right? Okay, how about C? What do you think? Is there any relationship between x and y? Okay, how about Kaisa? What do you think, Kaisa?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think? Are there relationship or not between x and y?
Yes.
Yes. Why?
Can't really explain actually.
Okay. Anybody would like to help Kaisa? Fakrun. Fakrun, are you here? Fakrun? Okay, I cannot hear anything from Fakrun. Okay. Nadia too. Nadia too Ashira. Okay. Look at C. Is there any relationship between X and Y?
Yes, there is.
Okay. Kenapa? Why?
Y menurun, X pun menurun.
Kat mana tu? Mana tu Shira?
Dekat yang hujung
Kat
tu.
hujung. Okay, people. All right. I think maybe I can see what Shira is seeing actually. Okay. So actually this one, if you draw a line, can you draw a straight line something like this? Can you? Does it represent the whole dots? Is it okay? We draw, but look at here. We have more dots here. So it's actually this line is not actually suitable to represent the whole dots. But the most suitable is something like this. Agree? Okay. Right. So then actually what we have here is we call it as quadratic line or quadratic equation. Quadratic, right? So, and then what happened in this quadratic? So yes, we do have slope somewhere here and also somewhere here, right? And also slope. Something, a line can be also drawn at the top, okay? So this is what happened in the quadratic. So definitely we have slope here at this point and also here, right? So then there is a relationship happen in this quadratic line. But fortunately, all right, this quadratic equation or quadratic relationship is not in your syllabus, right? So you are so lucky. So this is not in our syllabus. So you can just know about it, but we are not going to study it further, right? Okay, how about D? What do you think? Is there a relationship or not? Rose Haiza, are you here? Haiza? Okay.
Are you calling me, doctor?
Okay, ada pun. Not Kaisa, but Rose Haiza.
Ah, okay.
Kaisa dah tanya dah. Okay, Roshaiza, are you here? Because I'm not sure whether this person exists or not. I just want to check. Okay, Sarawati. Saraswati. Okay. What do you think? Okay, Sarawati, Sarah, where are you? Pun tak ada juga. Okay, so you know what? When I call you, you don't exist physically not here. Actually, I take it, apa saya akan ni Sarawati, tak ada juga. Okay, how about Zulaikha? Zulaikha, are you here? Pun tak ada juga. Senyap je. Okay. Puyi, are you here?
Yes.
Okay, what do you think? Indeed. Is there any relationship between X and Y?
I think they have a relationship between X and Y.
Sorry, cannot hear you clearly. Yes or no? Your line is not that good. Just answer me yes or no. Okay, can I hear you, Puyi? Yes, okay, all right, okay. So what happened, if you look at D, all right, so it's actually the line that we can draw to represent the whole dots here, actually is something like this, right? It's a circle, right? So a circle actually is not cannot form a straight line. Remember, I told you just now, yeah, it should be a straight line, and it should have a slope. So in this case, we don't have a straight line. It's only a circle. So therefore, the relationship is also zero. There is no relationship between X and Y because the scatter plot it formed between them is just a circle, right? So that's the answer for this one. Right, so let's look at E. Zian, are you here?
Sorry, doctor. Zian says he was going to the bathroom.
Okay. Then Sabrina, you ganti Zian.
All right, doctor.
Okay, so what do you think?
I think there is no relationship, I guess.
Okay, why?
I don't know because I saw some abstract the date of the data.
Sorry, Sabrina?
Like the data itself is like abstract shape. I don't know.
Like what? Abstract? Something like
Like not have a slope.
yeah, okay. That's the right answer. That's why I want to hear. Okay. So if you see in E, there's no slope. If we draw a line, so it's just like this one, horizontal line, okay? So then it means there is no slope because there is no slope, therefore there is no relationship. Correct. Okay, thank you, Sabrina. Okay, how about F? Anyone? Mingyi, what do you think, Mingyi?
Yes, doctor.
Okay, how about F? What do you think?
I think no relationship
Why?
because it is a vertical line and there is no slope.
Yes, correct. So this one also, the relationship is zero. There is no relationship. Okay, is everybody okay? So let's continue with the next one. Okay, how about this one? What is any relationship or not? What do you think? Akila, no, relationship atau tidak between grade and also time to complete exam?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Positive or negative?
Yeah, negative.
Negative. So the relationship. So what does it mean? If the grade is going up, then the time taken for the exam is going down. So if y is going up, so x is going down. So if the grade increases, time taken will be decreases. Okay, so it means that all the good students, they take less time to finish their exam. Understand? Okay, how about this one? Okay, let me ask Zaki.
Yes, dokter.
Sihat tak? Okey tak?
Sehat, sehat.
Dah
Sehat,
happy dah
dokter.
kat Malaysia?
Tidak, dokter.
Okay dah. Alright. So what do you think? Is there any relationship or not?
I think it have relationship.
Okay, what type of relationship? Positive or negative?
Positive.
Huh?
Positive relationship.
Positive. Okay, if we draw a line, so the line should be something like this, and then the relationship is positive. So when we say the relationship is positive, so it means that if the income, okay, this is our x, okay, x, and then this is our y. So if the income is increases, then the student average, okay, CGPA also increases. Ya ke? All right. So I'm not sure. We need to do a research on this one. Right. So it means that people with better family income, they have better grade. Okay. All right. Okay. So there are two types of coefficient. All right, that we need to calculate and we need to understand. Okay, the first one, we call it coefficient of determination, and we put it as r square, right? So the value of r square is between 0 and 1. So the purpose of coefficient of determination is to determine whether, to determine whether, okay, whether, okay, and the two variables have relationship or not. Okay, so we need to answer yes or no. Okay, so that's the purpose. So if let's say the r square, okay, r square is equal to 0.8, so it is more than 0.5 and close to 1, so then we say yes, the variable x and y, they have relationship. So the answer is yes or no, just like what you answered me just now when I say when I ask whether they have a relationship or not. Okay, the second coefficient that we call correlation coefficient, right? So we represent that one by letter R. Okay, the purpose, okay, this one should be -1, right? -1 to 1, right? So the purpose of correlation coefficient is to determine the strength, okay, of the relationship. So we, let's say, if, okay, R is greater than 0.5, so we can conclude they have strong relationship. Sorry, 0.7, okay, they have strong relationship. Okay, if R is, in between 0, let me do this way, 0.7 to 0.5, so I can say they have, mediocre relationship. Mediocre means it's not too strong, it's not too weak, right? If the R is less than 0.5, then we can say X and Y, they have weak relationship. Okay? Understand? Is everybody okay? Right. So actually you can look at page 134. Okay, 134. So if R, okay, here, page 134, if R close to 0, let's say R is equal to 0.01, which is close to 0, so we can conclude there is no relationship between X and Y. So if we have a positive number, then we can say the correlation is positive, and if we have negative number, so we have negative relationship, right? So like this. Okay, go back to our scatter plot just now. I would like to make some comment. Okay, so if you have, okay, this slope, okay, which one do you think have, a stronger relationship? Picture A, graph A, or graph B? What do you think? Which one have a stronger relationship? A or B? A, yeah, okay. Yes, the answer is A. Because you know why? The slope is steeper. So in order for you to climb the hill is harder, more difficult. Okay, this one is very easy. So then we can say this one have, higher or stronger relationship. Okay, stronger R. This one less strong. Okay. Right. So this is what I already explained in terms of the scatter plot and also the correlation coefficient. So the one thing good about correlation coefficient, okay, this value R, okay, the one that we will calculate, all right? So good thing about it compared to the scatter plot, it will tell us the direction, the form, and also the degree. So what does it mean by direction? Whether it's positive or negative. Okay, if our number, if we get the value is positive, then we know that they have positive relationship and the other way around. So the form is always linear, right? Oh, sorry. Okay. The form is always linear, which is we must have a straight line. We cannot have a circle, all right? So, and then the degree, so it can be very weak, weak, mediocre, or strong, right? So that's the degree, right? Maksudnya how strong, right? So this is the direction, just to check whether it's positive or negative, right? And then, so for example, this one we have a positive relationship, this one negative. Okay, but it's very hard when we use scatter plot. We don't we hardly know whether it's how strong is the relationship. So if we calculate the correlation coefficient, it will tell us exactly how strong is the relationship. Okay. And then, okay, this one, the form should have a straight line. And then in terms of the degree, either it's weak or it's strong. Okay, the value of 1 indicate perfect relationship. And then if, let's say, you have closer to 1, the number is closer to 1, we can conclude there is no relationship. Okay. Right. So as I told you, this one is not our syllabus actually. All right. So this one is even is a straight line, but it's not a straight line like what we expected. Okay. So this one negative, right? How about B? What do you think? Any relationship between for B? Anyone? No, okay, yes, because it's a circle. So the R is 0. This one R is negative. How about C? What is the R? Anyone? What's the answer for C? Positive. Yeah, it is positive. Just imagine if we draw a line, okay? So it is positive. How about D? Yeah, the relationship is 0, okay? Because we can hardly draw a straight line. Okay, so that's what I already explained about the correlation, right? And then the one that we use is actually called as the Pearson correlation. Why is it Pearson? Pearson is the one, the person who actually responsible, the one who responsible to introduce, okay, the correlation coefficient formula, right? Okay, and the R can be its range and also should be between -1 and 1. So let's say I have R is equal to -0.34. So I can conclude this one is negative. The relationship is negative. Okay, we need to write it in terms of the direction. Okay, these three things. Bila you buat conclusion, you must conclude all these three, right? The direction, the form, and also the degree, right? So you need to, okay, I usually start with form first. Okay, it's linear, right? Comma. And then the form is, the direction is negative and weak relationship. This is how we write our conclusion, right? When it comes to the R, okay, the correlation. And let's say I have, let's say R is equal to 0.91, okay? So I can say the relationship is linear, positive, okay? Or I see it strongly, very, or I can say very strong, positive relationship, okay? Right? So that's how you write the conclusion, or you write the the final answer in terms of correlation question, or yeah, analysis and so on. Right? Is everybody okay? Paham ke? Right. The next one, what I would like to actually just briefly introduce you to another correlation. Okay. But this one, it depends on your supervisor when they supervise you for your final year project. Okay. So the one, the uh, the next correlation is called Spearman correlation. Okay, Spearman correlation is actually can only be used when you have your X and Y is not quantitative, exactly not quantitative data, but it consists of ranks. Okay, so what you need to do, okay, it measures the consistency of direction of the relationship between two variables. Okay, in this case, what you need to do, you have quantity data, but you need to convert it to ranks, and only then you can use this type of correlation. Okay, so for example, I have this one, okay, this example. So I have grade, okay, for example, grade, but then I changed it to um, rank. So for example, I do not have a really the exact example here. So for example, the first one, the highest score, I will give it as number 1. For example, this one, number 1, number 2, number 3, okay, 97, number 3, and then number 4, and so on. So this one is rank. Okay. So based on the score. Okay. If you change that one into from score quantitative data to rank, then you need to use Spearman correlation, right? Okay, so and then the next one, there's another correlation that we call it as point by serial. So this one is we use phi coefficient. Before we use correlation coefficient R, but this one we use phi. Okay, so this one is slightly different. So when we have, the variables, one or both of them are dichotomous. So dichotomous when you have only two choices. So for example, you have yes or no. So usually we recode this one to 1 and this one to 0. Okay. So this is the example, the one that I show. Okay. Here we only record 1 to 0 or two choices or two types of numbers. All right. Then that one you will need to use phi coefficient. So it's slightly different. All right. So now let's take a break, okay? Before we start with our SPSS. So I will show you how to do this one using SPSS. Okay, this one will be on page 138. So let's take a break. So in 10 minutes. So please come back at 12. Okay, guys. There's something wrong with my PC. I need to log out. But please stay, okay? Don't go anywhere. Hold on. For the time being, I will let, okay, hold on.